Welcome to the collection of fiction books and nonfiction, but like writing related books that I have read this month. So I decided instead of doing like individual book talks, I'm just gonna like combine them into one mega video. So here it is. These are all of the things I read this month, and let's kick things off with a nonfiction but writing related, which was Gentle Writing Advice: How to Be a Writer Without Destroying Yourself by Chuck Wendig. So this book is not what the title says at all. It's actually just him rambling endlessly, and it's like if instead of, the best way I could describe it is like if you attended a lecture, not like a specific, like a TED Talk kind of a thing, where it's not really tailored information to like a specific person or you know, it's very, 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 very broad. They're trying to cast the widest net possible, but like in doing so doesn't actually say anything, and it's really geared towards traditional publishing, and again, wordy. I gave it a 2. I don't think it's the worst I've ever read, but like, my god, this dude, it's like that, this is so stereotypical, but like, you remember in like elementary school, like the hyper like kid that's just like bouncing out of their skin, and they're like the class clown, and they just will not shut up, and they're just like the wildest imagination, and every sentence has to be the most extravagant, and like they're just trying to get your attention by just being so loud. That was this book. There was so many tangents. It was awful. I hated every minute listening to it. I listened to it. The audio reader, the narrator dude, so good. Oh my god, he was awesome. He nailed it. But the actual words, I'm like, I am so sorry you have to read this, because he's making up colors and just going nowhere with this. The premise is that you just figure it out. That's it. Just like, if you're struggling, like, take a break. Like the most absolutely generic possible things. And also, it only applies to traditional publishing. Like, there was zero that would help me as a rapid release, because it's like, what are you talking about, dude? I don't have time to sit with writer's block and contemplate my story and be proud of myself for only writing 500 words or 250 words. Like, no. No, 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 no. I'm writing multiple thousand words for my writing days, and also him going on tangents of like how his kids refused to leave him alone, which I think says a lot about his parenting and like the just situation of the house. If your kids can't learn respect by age 5, that's kind of starting to say some things, you know, just like it's really easy to be like, hey, you don't like to be bothered doing certain things, don't bother me. Gentle parent, treat them like a person. It's really not that hard. Like, I don't know. I kept like, because I was listening to this and watching Jessica something, the 2 last names, the lesbian who's disabled and is amazing, and like watching her with Rupert, her son, and how mature and developed he is despite being so young, and then listening to this dude, and it's like, oh my god. And again, the tangents killed whatever potential this book maybe could have had, because he just goes off and is like, well, I have to be out here in this shed, and it's like, you don't actually, dude. You're choosing to do that. You choose to not teach your kids to respect your space because they're constantly bothering you. Like, just, oh my god, it manages to say nothing throughout the entire book, and I hated it. It was a struggle to get through. I was debating on just DNFing it, and then I was like, nah, I'm gonna just get through it, but it was rough. And it literally, like, the end of this book is so freaking long, because like, there's 27 minutes of like the afterthoughts and acknowledgments, and it's like, oh my god, who cares? Who cares? This should be a page. A page should be able to be read in like under 2 minutes. Who is like, nobody wants to read this at all. Why? It's so much without saying anything. I hated this. I thought I still had so much more, and I did cop out at that point. I was like, you know what? Tap out. I'm done. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Because like, again, he says nothing. And his writing isn't that helpful at all. Again, I'm not traditionally published. I'm not a huge fan of traditionally publishing. I think the publishing houses tend to really not have that great of like books. There's so many that are better written that are indie published, and that's not just because I'm an indie published author. It's like I've read so many books that are traditionally published that are in libraries, and it's like, why does this exist? What freaking editor was involved? How did the publishing house be like, this is the one we should do? Like, why? And then again, traditionally published, like, I have a hard time feeling bad for you when it takes you, like, he was like, oh my god, I gotta get a draft done in like 3 months. It's like, cool. Yeah, I do that in like 2 weeks. Like, rapid release and traditionally published are very different worlds. And so like him complaining, and you're trying to have empathy, but it's also like, that's so cool, dude. If you compare it to your traditional job, is it really that hard though? Because like, there's no other job out there in the world where you only work a few hours a day. Like, writing a book, like, if it's taking you 8 hours to get like 2,000 words on the page, that's a problem. I don't know if this is the correct field for you. It might need to be more of a hobby rather than a career, because career, you need to be able to spend like significant amount of time getting things done. And I don't know, I have this hard time imagining him sitting there writing for like 8 hours a day and being like, oh my god, it's so hard, guys. And it's like, is it? Like, I acknowledge writing is hard. I also only spend like maybe 4 hours a day on it, but I do other creative endeavors. You know, I read every day and I have channels talking about it. But yeah, he was kind of whiny about it. And it's like, okay, go join the real workforce, do that again, and then see how much of a privilege it is to be a writer and like stop complaining. And again, the tangents, I just hated him for that. So pretty much any other point was just like, you're already annoyed, and it's like, if you're already annoyed at a person and they start chewing gum loudly and you just kind of want to cell block tangle them, that was this book. So anyways, I hated this, and I will end this one, and then here in a little bit we'll talk about, for you it'll be mere seconds, for me it's gonna be a while. I haven't even picked them up from the library yet, of the other fiction books, because they are going to be fiction, because this book sucked. So anyways, on to the next one. So here we are for the second book I read this month. Yeah, I've read a lot of books. Not for this channel though. Like, actually, I could look. I have read, because I wrote them all down. I am, as of right now, on the 29th, I have read 37 books this month. 2 of them are for this channel. So, I read a lot. Just not for this channel. So anyways, here we are for the second book, the one and only fiction book I read this entire month. That's pretty sad and pathetic, but here we are. 2 books. If I read another one, I'm just counting it towards February at this point. Like, I don't think I'm going to, but I have it in my purse just in case I decide to read it, and then I just don't. And I'm like, oh, I need to read this one, and I'm trying to get very ahead on my Witchy channel content, because I have a vacation later this year and I know I need to be ahead, and like, that's the channel that's monetized now, so I'm like, I should probably work on that one. Anyways, so here we are for the one and only fiction book I read this month, which is Nothing But Trouble. It is book 11 in A Bake Shop Mystery by Ellie Alexander. So this one was very different from all of the other books. It is more of a journal. So she finds her dad's journal, and like probably 2/3 of the book or more is reading this journal like verbatim, just italicized, and that's the book. I gave this one a 3. I didn't like that. I don't like this weird going back into the 80s for Ashland and having this random cold case that suddenly they're able to figure out because she decided to find this old notebook. That's really weird, and I didn't like it. And it was like the plot, I just didn't care. I don't usually try and figure out who the killers are anyways. I think it's fun just to not sit there and be like, oh, it's gotta be this one or it's gotta be this one, and trying to find the clues. I don't care. I'm here for a fun time. And so, like, my fiction books, I put next to no effort into trying to really dissect it too much. They're just for funsies. And so I didn't want to, I never try and, like, figure it out. And so for me, it was like, oh, cool. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't know, and like, nobody writes like that. That's the other thing, is it ripped me from the book, because a book you can suspend a little bit, but reading a journal that's written like you would write a book, nobody does that. I don't even think authors write their journals that way. Nobody is writing their books that way. You're gonna have random thoughts that you jot down. It ripped me from the book so much, because nobody talks like that. And like, the killer, I'm not a whole lot of spoilers, but like, for the people who know, like, I feel like it was a little too evident, even for me who doesn't pay attention. And I don't know, I didn't like it. Like, I wish it had been not this. Again, I don't care about the flashbacks. I don't like this finding a journal and writing this past. I don't care. But I love the series, so I'll keep going. But this was just like, really? This one? Why? So, anyways, those are my thoughts on Nothing But Trouble. And yeah, this is probably gonna be the end of this video. I really don't think I'm gonna be reading a fiction book in the next like 3 days, so I'm just gonna call it here. So hopefully next month I can get ahead. My game plan had been to read a fiction book on the weekends, and then I just haven't stuck with that. So I'm hoping to get ahead, but I just also, I have a hard time being like, I'm just gonna read a fiction book, when it's like, I need to read the other ones, because that's like more of my job. And those ones I have a potential to those getting, now that I'm monetized, to actually make me some money. And my fiction ones really aren't. They're just like us chit-chatting about it, so it's like, I could read a fiction book that's gonna take like at least a day or two. Or I could read 1 or 2 witchcraft books. And some of them are so small you can get through quite a few of them in a day. And so I was like, I have a hard time being like, I want to do that. So hopefully next month I can do better and actually get some fiction books done. But anyways, so thank you for coming along for the books. Actually, I guess I can tell you all of the books that I have read this year so far, this month. Well, technically is this year, but I have currently read, and some of these aren't anything related necessarily, just as an FYI, because it starts off strong. The ABA Guide to Assisted Reproduction, and I didn't have time to fit the name because I ran out of space, so I just put J. Kasky something. I don't even know if that's supposed to be an A. I'm assuming that's an A. Isn't it bad when you can't read your own writing? But that one I really loved. It's more of the legal things of like walking you through like mentally preparing on how to do pregnancy and surrogacy and all of that jazz. A little bit on adoption, not a whole lot, mostly on IVF and all of that jazz. And being like, yo, guess what? It's so freaking expensive. And you, the intended parents, you have to foot the entire bill. Did you know all of these things? You gotta pay for all of these things. And you're like, I did not know that, thanks. So it definitely busted my bubble on just how expensive it is, but also it has made me have to actually start to research, because holy crap, realistically, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need close to $200,000 to have a kid. So it's like, cool, I need to write all the books ever, and I need to get as many videos up as possible. Oh my god. And then a little part of me is like, if we just get twins, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Because just $100,000 each, just to bring you into this world. So cool, because I don't know that I would keep going at that point, because they're so expensive. But also, twins don't typically run in our family, but IVF, you'd sometimes have that possibility. So anyways, it was an eye-opener. Then we have Adopting Hope by Laurie Benson, proving my point of why I'm pretty sure I'm sticking with surrogacy over adoption. It's a lot, and it's a whole discussion. Then we move into the witchcraft. We've got Witch in Darkness by Kellyanne Maddox, Love Spells by Sean Engel, The Essential Guide to Wicca for Beginners by Amethyst Rain. I loved that name, by the way. Dream Magic by Robin Korak, something. A Little Bit of Reiki by Valerie Ula. Again, names, I'm probably butchering them. Sacred Crystals by Hazel Raven. All of the witchcraft books, I have full reviews, so that's why I'm not like going into a whole lot of them. Then I have Stronger Than Infertility by Heather Hooman. Also not helpful. That one was not great. It was mostly, if I remember right, it was very focused. Oh, that one was the one that was, it had a lot of medical stuff, but the majority of it is really centered on you still wanting to be pregnant, which is the majority of these like infertility books, which is like, I don't know if I would be infertile, but definitely if I carry to term, I'm super duper 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 high risk because bleeding disorder. I'm like 3% chance of living. They've told me that my whole life. I'm not gonna risk it. I want to be a mom. I don't need to go through the pregnancy and die to be a mom. So surrogacy, I've known that my whole life. And so it was interesting, but it's like, okay, but like the section on surrogacy was like this big, of like this thick of a book. So not exactly what I was looking for. We just talked about gentle writing advice. So there you go, I already talked about it. Bridget's Cloak by Bryce Mulligan, something like that. A Little Bit of Auras by Cassandra Eason. The Beginner's Guide to Wicca by Kirsten Riddle, or Kirsten, how are you supposed to say that name? Sacred Herbs by Opal Streisand. Finding the Fool by Meg Jones. Wall, I hate when it's a 3 name. Oh Baby by Lee Gutkind and Alice Bradley. I genuinely don't remember that one. That's bad. I'm guessing it was not helpful. I'm guessing it had to have been focused just so much on just the pregnancy thing that I was just so checked out. Because that's why I have to write it down, because I read so many. Some of them stick up here and then some of them just float into the ether, and that is one of them. I'm guessing it's gotta be one that I was just like, this is literally the most unhelpful thing ever. Okay, great. Because yeah, it wasn't helpful apparently, because I don't remember any of it. I don't even remember what the cover looked like, to give context. I think it was white. I'm nailing this. We have The Art of Astrology. Then, haha, we had the fiction, Nothing But Trouble. Then, that was my 18th book of the month. And then we have So Many Witchcraft, A Little Bit of Astrology, Overcoming Fears, Receiving Prosperity, Heal Yourself with Chinese Pressure Points, A Little Bit of Meditation, A Little Bit of Shamanism, A Little Bit of Palmistry, Nightmares, The Zendao Guide to the Wheel of the Year, The Mood Book, Tarot. I did not spell that correctly. Oh my god, the horror. I spelled tarot like it sounds, not like it's actually supposed to be written. Ugh, there's a T that's silent. The Tarot. The Tarot for one. And then The Art of Dream Interpretation. I loved that book. It was so good. I still need to just go buy a copy of it. Then we have The Art of Waiting by Belle Boggs. Also not a helpful book. Again, a lot of heavily focused on infertile but still wanting to be pregnant, which is like cool, not my thing. And I get to skip a lot of these steps, and like honestly, so many of these women are waiting to go to these clinics until they're like late in the biological era. Like, bro, mid to late 30s, you're pushing your luck on a good day anyways. Why did you wait so long? I'm worrying and trying to prep and plan at 28. And I'm not even getting pregnant. I'm just hoping maybe, possibly, they can harvest my eggs and use them. That would be cool. I have to talk to doctors if that's even an option for me though. But like, if you're waiting until you're like 37, 38, 39 to go to the clinic, like, your window is like really small. You waited a long time and it's probably not gonna do a whole lot of good. So anyways, is that the point? No, but also they're hyper focused on just being pregnant, and it's like, I want to be a mom. And yeah, and there's a whole lot of drama involved in the adoption community. That's like a whole video, so I'm not going there. But I do want to do a surrogate if possible. Then we have Crystals for Beginners, Bridget. Oh, and then I loved this one, Montessori for Every Family. I think that is the best book I have found yet, and I took this whole month to listen to it because I didn't want it to end. It was so good. I love the Montessori technique. Do I agree with every single thing? No. I like my husband, he's listening to it, and he very adamantly was like, I don't agree with everything, but he has very black and white thinking. And he's like, I don't like this idea that like you can't praise your kids. I think that's really stupid. Like we should be able to say you did a good job. Like that, and I'm like, that's fine. We can adjust. It's okay. Cause like I'm still not sure where I land on not baby proofing everything. And like you can't always be there, and it's there for a reason. Like kids died because it wasn't there. But also I have seen how lazy most parents are when it comes to actually like watching your children and teaching them and treating them like they're a person. Because like, especially the past, like, I feel like what are they at now? Gen Alpha? And I think there's one after. Is it Gen Beta? I don't know. Is that an option yet? But like Gen Z, the very tail end of y'all, because I'm the last year that technically counts as a millennial. So, you know, kind of that cusp time. And Gen Alpha for surezies were the iPad kids. And I saw that happen and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Your kid needs to learn how to be bored. And also just like watching Montessori through Jessica out of the closet. I never know how to say her last name, so I just go with her like tag handle thing. So Jessica and Claude, they have been doing Montessori and I love their method and I think it's amazing. And the way she can connect with it from like a disabled perspective of like force feeding somebody, and I'm like, oh my god, true though. So Montessori for Every Family walks you through all of the stages of life. So good, I need to buy a copy. Then we have The Totality of Possibility, a little bit of mindfulness, and this morning I just finished The Torch of Bridget. It's not gonna be all of the books for the month because I still have more, but it's a lot of them. So anyways, I just wanted to share the books that I read this month, I guess. And yeah, the witchy books are easily found on my witchcraft channel, but yeah, hopefully next month I can actually talk about some fiction books because whoops, I didn't. I only read one technically, and then I read the writing craft one, and I have a writing craft one for this month too. It's lurking over here on my bookshelf thing. So anyways, until next time, thank you for coming along for my book wrap up of the month. And again, this is most of them. I'm counting it on the 29th. As of recording this, I might even read a book tonight, so it might get instantly outdated before this even goes live. But, well actually it probably will, because I'm going to post this on the 31st, so it's probably outdated. But you know what? As of recording this is all of the books I read this month, and hopefully next month we will have more to talk about for just normal fiction books would be cool. I would like to read more of those. So, because I also, this stack up here, I have multiple books that I need to read. So anyways, until next time, thank you. Buy my books. Bye.